Greetings and salutations, Dave Duford. We're doing it live for another live Q&A call here on the YouTubes. It is April 21st, 2025. It is a pleasure to be with you here again live. If this is your first Ask Me Anything Q&A call that you've done with yours truly, let me give you a little overview about what to expect and how it works. Very simple. You have the questions and I have all of the answers, all of them, at least when it comes to selling insurance and marketing insurance successfully. So a lot of the questions we get tend to be formulated around joining the DIG agency and how that all works. Happy to answer questions about anything there, but also want to encourage you guys, if you have any questions about the business in general or in specifics, not just about final expense, but insurance as well. This is a great opportunity to ask those questions. Maybe you're a brand new agent or just looking into the insurance business. Maybe you've seen some of these videos and now are kind of joining live. Definitely your questions are more than welcome. And the way that you can post and ask your questions is simple. Just throw them into the chat below. And then as we go through them, I will most certainly answer them. And I'd also like to ask you guys out there, if you have any questions, or I should say, let me do this, hit the like button. That's what I meant. Hit the like button if you haven't already. That helps. Share this live stream to other people who are maybe agents and unaware of what we do at the DIG agency. So thank you very much for doing that, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. So I'm going to just jump into questions. I don't have a prepared statement or conversation point to start things off. I didn't really prepare any. Don't have any. So we're just going to do a straight old fashioned Q&A call. So again, as you're jumping in here, thanks for joining us live. As you have questions about the DIG agency or about anything about insurance, sales, and marketing, anything related to anything to that, throw your questions in the chat. And let's go ahead and begin. Hey, Lucas, I'm done onboarding and watching the videos in the classroom. I'm supposed to finish all of them before getting a trainer. Reach out to Marty. He'll help you out. Charmaine should be also there to help you too as well. You may want to post something into the Slack to get some assistance. We got a ton of people there. There's I forget the gentleman's name. He's a newer trainer. So there's several people there. Just use one of those aforementioned processes to get in front of somebody and see about getting help. And we'll definitely do what we can help. Okay. Hey, Jason, how long does it take to generate an income once you have a license? It depends totally, Jason, on the product that you're selling. I think what I can do here, actually, this would be a good kind of starting point, is discussing kind of the timeline to making an income because it does weigh on which product and market you should sell. Because if you have an urgent need to make money, which most of us do, there are certain products you don't want to pick. Okay. So let's jump into that and explain it. So let's start with final expense first, since that's mainly what we do at the DIG agency. So you should be able, after you're appointed or licensed, and then get appointments with carriers. Those are your legal appointments to represent the carriers with an agency in tow. That shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks, assuming you've already found the agency. That can take that much longer if you haven't. But really, once you're appointed, assuming you've learned the system, the processes, et cetera, you should be able to jump on the dialer and start selling, or if they teach you to go face-to-face right away. And then final expense, it is a pretty quick turnaround to making a sale and then profiting. Typically from days to weeks is usually the typical timeline. That also extends into mortgage protection to some extent, IULs, Index Universal Life, mainly life insurance products because they're front-end commission driven. They tend to pay out fairly quickly, especially if you're selling what's called simplified issue products, which means there's no additional underwriting, records requests from the doctors, physicals to take, all of which extend the process to receiving an underwriting decision. Now, if you get into that line of work and that line of products, you could be weeks to months before you get actually paid or even know if the person is approved. Now, what if you're looking at something like health insurance, whether that's under 65, ACA plans, or perhaps maybe Medicare? So those products tend to pay upfront, but at a diminished level relative to life insurance. Where they make the most money for you is over the long term, if you can keep that client on the book for years at a time. So, for example, Medicare pays, it depends on what kind of product you sell, certainly how the commission structure is set up, 250 to 400, being really rough here with estimates per sale. But renews annually, either in perpetuity, meaning forever, or for a set number of years, usually 6 if it's a Medicare supplement. Whereas with ACA, typically it's as earned. So it's significantly less, $15, $20 ish per month per person on the policy, up to five heads per policy, I believe. So much lower income. This is why in the due diligence process, you should really assess for yourself how fast do you need to make an income. Because one of the things that Medicare and ACA can provide, and also property and casualty insurance like car insurance, home insurance, et cetera, is a renewal-based income. But the problem with the renewal-based income strategies and insurance sales is the front end's not very good. So you either have to cross-sell additional policies, or you just have to like not live on an income for a while. And 95% of people watching can't do that. The other alternative you could do in that route is to start with a salary plus bonus position in those respective niches. And that's a good way to start to learn the business, maybe save some money up before fully going into owning that book of business and having a renewal stream. What most people need, in my experience, is immediate income. They're getting into insurance because they're at a crossroads in their life or a career. They're not happy with what they're doing. They see there's not much long-term opportunity. They're looking for a way to get into a business where there's uncapped earning potential, the ability to kind of determine their own schedule, et cetera, to have some freedom and some income opportunity. And insurance provides a great opportunity for that. And specifically, final expense, life insurance products, and really any life insurance for the most part that's not fully underwritten, pays quickly and facilitates the transition from another career in insurance, I think, a lot better. So that's one of the reasons I think you see a ton of recruiting into the life insurance space, because of the immediacy in getting paid. So long story short, to ultimately answer your question, Jason, it should be pretty quick after you get your license, assuming you have an agency that you're a part of. But to the degree of which you get paid and the size per policy or commission per policy, it's going to depend on which of those products that you choose. And again, my suggestion for most is life insurance-based products like final expense, because life insurance just pays a better first-year income. Incidentally, the renewal income is either non-existent or not that good in life insurance relative to health insurance and Medicare. Primal Wisdom, good to see you again. By the way, for those of you jumping on, glad to have you on the Q&A call. Post your questions below about the DIG Agency or about the business in general. Happy to help with anything. And then also, if you haven't yet, hit the like button. There's 27 of you live, so if you hit the like button, that's going to help boost this into the algorithm for more agents to watch. Primal says, hey, David, been a viewer a while. Thank you. I was considering joining DIG 8 years ago. I believe I needed to be licensed 50 states, and that cost $900. No, it's not 50 states. Now it's 6 states, and the licensing cost is $500. So yes, it has changed for the better. And it never was 50 states, though. It was like, I think at the highest, it was like 20 states, but not now. Hey, David, I know your main focus is as final expense sales. Do you also contract with Protective? Yes, we do. Protective Life does a pretty good term product. That's most of the reasons that people pick it up. Now, we don't use it in the free lead program, but yeah, if there was a random deal that you needed to write that was on like a family member yourself, we could hook you up with it. That would be fine. But you would have to have otherwise be a part of our free lead agency to get those contracts. So we don't contract one-off carriers to agents anymore. It's just all sorts of reasons why that's a bad job from a bad idea from a business standpoint. Unfortunately, all it takes is one bad apple to ruin the batch. So most of you, it's more of a nothing personal. But I can get into that kind of streaming off here. But if you'd like me to, let me know. Okay. Bottom line, though, yeah, if you join the free lead agency, we can get it for you. Okay. Strong, Juno. How big of a book of business do you think you need to start a transition process towards building an agency for Medicare? I don't know, man. It just depends on your expenses and what you need to live. That's going to vary between person to person. What are 3 key things that you'll need to launch as a successful Medicare agency? I mean, it's really true of any agency. Do you have sufficient quantity of leads to stay as busy as possible? Do you have a really good dialing outbound system to reach as many of those leads as possible? And you have a really good retention system? I mean, these are things you can build, and you'll learn along the way as you stay in the business wherever you start. So, but yeah, it's kind of core competency no matter where you go. One second, guys. I'm going to let some people in here to this room of mine. 1 second here. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll pop up some people who are attending the Zoom version of this. I have to pin myself to the screen. Just give me a second. All right, perfect. Okay. For those of you joining Zoom, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. I'll be happy to help you out. Okay. What are the 6 states? If you go to davidduford.com and then watch the main video, you can skip through a bunch of it until you get, it's like middle of the video, I think. There's a listing. It's based off of your birth date. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but if you go to the video, you can see it. It's 6 states. Hey, Peter. Good to see you again. Hey, Juan. How long does the sales presentation take on average from start to finish? Again, if you're doing final expense, we get to the verbal close at about the 10 to 15-minute mark. It's very fast. Now, the application process takes a bit longer than that. I think a good agent with us will conclude a sale within 35 to 45 minutes from the start of the phone call to getting the client approved and then getting banking information, et cetera. So it probably is longer if you're selling a person turning 65 and you need to educate them on Medicare, say versus replacing a low-income subsidy type policy for somebody who already had Medicare Advantage. So it's going to vary based off of the product. But with us, it's pretty quick because final expense is a couple of notches above transactional. There's definitely salesmanship involved to making it successful, but it is something that doesn't take a ton of time to sell somebody on. They either understand the need for it and why, or they don't. Let's see here. Sailor. Hey, Sailor. Can you choose to be licensed in all 12 states to get more lead access? Sure. Yeah. I don't see a problem with that. Go for it. What you do is when you get to being put on the dialer in our system, you let our staff know which states that you have, and then we just assign them. So if you have more than what you have, that's fine, as long as we have leads coming from there. Jason, thanks. Regarding your free lead program, how many calls would an agent typically have to make a day? So, Jason, the right question is how many? So none. Now you may be asking, what do you mean none? You don't have to do anything with us. We're 1099. So legally, we don't hire employees, so we can't tell you what to do. As a 1099 contractor, you have full discretion as to when you work, how much you work, how little you work, and that's totally fine with us. So the way I would ask the question is, well, how much would you suggest I work? Just from the standpoint of making as much as I can. And I would say as many as possible. It's funny. This is an observation from many months of watching the amount of time that agents put into the phone and dialing. And I think the one thing, there's really 3 things you can leverage to maximize your income. It's getting better at opening the calls to keep people on the phone. That's a very important skill to master. The other one that's most obvious is how much of those presentations do you actually close? Your closing percentage. Getting good at that's important. Although I would agree the opening is more important than the closing. And then the last thing, this is the easiest thing to work on, but and this, I'm telling you guys from my agency perspective, and if it's true for me, it's true for everybody else. The biggest thing, can anybody guess the biggest variable that will predict an agent? So let's say they know their skill set, they know how to sell, they know how to close. They have to be the greatest, but they're not bad. What is the one variable that's going to supercharge their income producing capability? I'll let you guys answer that in the chat. And then I'll see if anybody can get it. I'll blow my nose while you guys wait. This is really important. It's so deadpan obvious, but so few people actually do it. Yeah. Anybody know? Activity. Thank you, Peter. Peter's obviously been listening for years. Activity. This is the one thing that, again, as a 1099, that's why I started that way. Preface, I can't tell you how much calls to make. But what I see time and again is that successful agents who are really good, simply put, don't put the time in. And same thing with mundane agents. But the biggest variable to supercharge your income earning capability is putting more time into activity, pure and simple. There's an agent right now and there's several actually that fit this, that we look at their success ratio. These guys are killers. They sell multiple policies a day. But the problem with them is they don't put the time in. They put in 20, 25 hours and they're selling 10 policies, 12 policies a week. But they're working 25 hours on the phone. It's crazy. And I'm not insulting them. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But I'm sharing you this because this is like an important takeaway. The ultimate problem is that, the easiest way to make more money is to put more time in. That's one thing I'm not, I don't want to sound like I'm full of crap or I know everything, but that's one thing that dawned on me after a couple of years of doing this was that this is really just an activity-based business. Like we can tweak closing and opening, and that's important to do, and you should always be working on that. But at some point, the guy who puts more time in and works longer and harder, more consistently over time is probably going to make more money and have a higher chance of surviving. And I've seen this time and again, and I think it's just worth repeating to all of y'all out there. Like I can't stress it, whether it's with us, if you join us, or with another agency. Like if you're the guy or gal that shows up the earliest and leaves the latest, and you can do that on full tilt for years, you're probably going to be in the business. And I will say boldly, I am not a dummy, but I'm not like super genius. And I'm certainly not the best salesperson. But the only reason I am here, I'm convinced, is because predominantly I showed up and stayed out longer than 99% of agents. That's the only reason, not because I'm more skilled or talented or anything else. And it's the same thing for YouTube too. I just perform and execute longer, stronger, and more sustainably. And that's my secret advice to all y'all that you should already know, and we already do, but is worth repeating, kind of hearing it from somebody who's been in the business forever. So remember that wherever you go, time on task is the number one driver above all else. Enrique, I decided to join DIG, already completed DISC, and I'm waiting to speak to someone. Okay. Marty at defordig.com, email him and he'll tell you what to do. Marty, M-A-R-T-Y at D-U-F-O-R. I forgot how to spell my last name. D-U-F-O-R-D-I-G.com. Yeah, there you go. Perfect, Lucas. Yep. It really is all sales. I think at some level, maybe the higher end stuff is probably more like technical, but it is activity. It's getting in front of enough people. Again, I'll stop beating the dead horse here, but most people don't put in nearly the amount of activity that's necessary. It's always more than you think. Yep, that's right, Julie. Hey, Sailor, Mildred up and running. AI Mildred. Mildred's waiting for us every day to call her and sell her a policy. Now, if you're talking about AI Mildred, which is our brand new, kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, it's just, we're actually beta testing it today. Let me explain what it is for the audience first, if you haven't heard. So we're investing heavily in the best of the industry's training processes, right? One of those, which I can talk about more, are automatic sales call review analyses. We do that on most, if not all, sales calls that agents do immediately after their sales presentation is over. Our AI system, which was trained on our top producers and what they do to sell like hundreds of sales calls, it issues you a report on that particular sales call and grades 7 different aspects of the presentation, telling you what you did right and what you can improve, and then giving you like the top 3 or so things that are the most impactful that you can do to improve your sales presentation. Nobody else that I know does anything remotely like what we're doing. The benefit to you is you get immediate feedback on what you can do to be better. And instead of waiting on a person to sit there and go through an entire sales call, and maybe get a little attention here and there, like you can get this on a lot of your sales calls. So this is huge. It's our AI sales training module. It's free as a DIG agency agent. The other thing that we're building is AI Mildred. So Mildred, of course, is the placeholder term that we use for a final expense client. AI Mildred, the purpose behind that is to allow our new agents who aren't yet calling our prospects to practice on a sales AI speaking bot that essentially is built off of the interactions and conversations a prospect would have. And we've trained it again on what a presentation sounds like. and it allows you in a realistic way to practice your script. And what's cool about it is that you don't know what to expect from AI Mildred. Is she going to be sassy? Is she going to be easy? Is she going to be hard? We don't know. So there's this level of reality to it that it's unpredictable, but it also gives you the opportunity to go through your script, practice it, and get better. So that is probably a week or two away, I would say. I filmed the video and said, like, it's coming. By the time if you join, mid-April, you'll see it in a couple of weeks. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to be an enormous help to preparing agents for something close to reality and dealing with real prospects. So I'm a brand new agent. I'm scared to make the first phone call once I come aboard, and I'm loving. Yeah, it really helps. Now it's still going to be scary, Sailor, to get on the call and talk to a real person. That always will be there. I'll just tell you now, embrace the fear. It never goes away. The more you can just accept it and do it anyway, the faster you are towards, ultimately achieving success. That's the cheat code. But this will help you, in a sense, prepare for that, for sure. Just passed my life and disability exam currently with WFG. Hey, new money. I've done some reviews on WFG. You can check them out. My experience and observation has been they're very recruitment oriented, not sales oriented. Clearly, people are selling over there, but from the standpoint of is the organization multi-level marketing, et cetera, they tend to be more in that vein, in my observation. I'm sure not all of them are the same, and they do a good job, I'm sure, selling policies and helping people. But if you get that sense that something's off with the agency you're a part of, you may want to consider a different direction. If not, maybe stick around. Hey, Sailor, also, can you explain how chargebacks happen? Yeah, so chargebacks happen typically after you're paid, and then the client cancels the policy or misses a payment. And the way it works with us is that when the next pay cycle goes through, and this is true for all insurance companies, is that before you get paid the advance commissions, those chargebacks are deducted out. So they don't ever reach into your actual bank account to take the money. They just take them out of what future commission you would have earned. Does that make sense? I can explain it further if you'd like. Recently saw a discouraging video from Doug Massie. He says that most agents in a free lead program only make 30 to 40,000. Are these stats true in your agency? I'll tell you this, the average, I said this last week, and this, I'm not mad at you, Terrence. I appreciate you asking the question. I don't want to sound like a jerk. The average success rate in insurance is 0. I mean, I have been abundantly clear about this. I mean, I'd like to say since the very beginning. What I haven't ever done, like my competent, Doug's probably not in this at all, but the big MLMs, they tell you anybody can be successful, that anybody can sell insurance, or that everybody's doing it. Like, that's bullshit. Right? The truth is, in any sales, the top 20% make 80% of the income. And if you're mediocre, if you're mid-grade, like 50%, you probably are just getting by or not making any money. Okay. So what I would suggest to update, in my opinion, on Doug Massie's supposed, and I don't know if he said this word for word, but if what he's saying is true, I would say that's the norm for the normal insurance agent making probably less than that. And why is that? Because sales sucks. It's tough. Most people, it's more difficult than they think it's going to be. You got to deal with people all day. You got to deal with their nonsense, not picking up the phone, messing with you on the phone, just to find a couple of people a day that'll actually buy. It's tough work. It's completely emotional. It's not like showing up at a job, doing the basics, and then going home. It's very difficult. And most people can't do it. And it's not a personal attack against those people. It's just reality. And so, and add to that, this profession has a straight commission opportunity. It just feeds more to the failure rate. So my take on it is, in a sense, if they're only making 30 to 40,000, if that was the average, that's probably better than the average of the industry still. But here's where I'm going with this, Terrence, and everybody else. It's really important to understand. Hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from, you as in all of you. I think it's very important to understand that if you're getting into this business, you should not have the idea of how can I do average. you will fail. You should come into this business thinking, how can I be a top 10% agent? How can I do better than 90% of the other agents? And I'll tell you what that requires. That requires let's assume you're in a good agency with a lead system, good training, all that stuff, right? That's you have to have that. If you don't have that, you're probably in the failure pile of people. But what you need to have to be successful is humility to take coaching and training and not take things personally. You have to be coachable. You have to learn your lesson the first time. Like you shouldn't have to, like, if you make the same mistake over and over and over again, you're just going to fail. Everybody makes mistakes, but you should learn from that mistake and strive never to make it again. Doesn't mean you will, but you should largely not make it again. So as you find over time, you make mistakes, but less and less and less so until you're actually good. The other part of it is that you should be fully committed and working to the maximal extent possible. Maybe you start part-time, but you put in a ton of time that you can on a part-time basis. If you're full-time into this, you don't come in and do it 25, 30 hours. Some people can do it if they're exceptionally skilled. But you should be thinking, how can I put 40 or 50 hours into this? There's all the time in the world, especially on final expense. You can work from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Sunday for the most part. The time is there if you make time for it. And be committed to it. Understand there's going to be some ups and downs. Learn short-term amnesia. Forget your bad day yesterday or even your good day. And just show up and put the time in and the work in. So not to turn this into much of a rant, I apologize, but I think it's so critical that if you're going to do this business, and I've talked people out of this business, y'all. It's like I run an agency, I recruit people, but I would rather you not do this if you don't fully embrace what I just said. It is a guaranteed, I don't say guaranteed, but you're likely going to fail. And so, anyways, I'll get back on track here. If you want to follow up with that, and that's true for my agency, Terrence. I'll build on that too. It's true for my agency. Not everybody succeeds. Most don't. Most don't. Because of a number of reasons. Usually in the list of things I mentioned there, they don't put the time in. They don't learn from the mistakes that they're making. Like, we give them all of the resources to learn and adapt. But some people don't like the business still. It's not for them. But for the people who are really, who attend to all of those things, the opportunity is amazing. And again, if you're thinking, how can I be in the top 10%? That's kind of what you want. Like, where is the opportunity to yield the most? Not where does most people end up? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Jump back on this if you want me to clarify anything here. And again, I'm not trying to be personal or anything like that. I adamantly want everybody to have full disclosure on the realities of sales, selling insurance, and what it imposes and what you need to do to be successful. Okay. Hey, Chris, will Mildred be available to people practicing that have not joined DIG? Yes, 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 yes. No, this isn't a try before you do your thing. It is an actual thing we pay good money for and have spent a ton of money developing and a lot of time and effort. You have to be part of the agency. The purpose of it isn't try it before you join. It's you've committed to the process, and here's your tool to practice and get better. Question: as a new agent, is it better to join a non-MLM or MLM as a brand new agent? Yeah. So Perfusion, great question. What's important as a brand new agent is to determine which agency is going to train me into the best salesperson that I can be. Okay. And on top of that, which one is going to provide me the system to be as successful as I can be? You ultimately have to do all the work. You're going to have to show up, put the time in. That's part of the reason why I'm like, don't look at the average, look at the top percentage, or as a way, look at how to become a top producer, because it's the opportunity to be so that is the most important. The averages are always deceiving because of all sorts of reasons mentioned earlier. With that said, my opinion is multi-level marketing is defined largely by recruitment-based strategy. If you join an agency to recruit, but not to sell, somebody somewhere's got to sell something for you to make something. You don't make money by recruiting, you make money by selling. So in the long term, I think it's the worst decision in most cases is to join an MLM. Unless for some reason there are sub-agencies in some of these MLMs that are really good on the sales side and they're completely focused on that, and that's completely fine. Now, that would be an exception. But the main thing is to join an agency that's committed to your success. And there should be ample evidence to show that it's been successful. Again, not to, put a shameless plug in here, but that's why I do case studies. That's why you see all of these people who have attested to the training, the resources, their success. Like nobody compares to what we do in putting out proof, preponderance of proof that we do really well, because I want it to be 100% clear that we're completely dedicated to the success of the agent. So, and I would not expect any less from anybody that you want to join. They should be able to prove it. Okay, questions in the chat here. Safe Money Solutions. This is on the Zoom chat. How much has your opinion on rapport building inside of a good script changed over time? Yeah, great question. I think it's somewhat overrated. Yeah. It's funny. I used to do intentional rapport building in the first part of the sales call when we always did it face to face. We always do rapport building of some sort. So rapport building is getting a connection to the client for anybody who's brand new. The question is, how much rapport building do you need? And should it be intentional? Does it happen natural? What I think has happened in our society is that people just want to get down to business more and more as time progresses. They feel like this kind of intentional rapport building, whether it's sincere or not, is insincere. And I feel like people connect once they know that you're there to help them and do business. And the more direct you are in getting started to get down to business, I think the more they're actually going to develop rapport. The other side of that is that it's actually trust that's the most important. You can like somebody, but not necessarily trust them. And then they won't buy from you or give their social to you, right? And especially in a telesales environment, I think getting down to business is a huge advantage. So we've cut rapport building out on the front end completely from our scripting. It's been gone for a couple of years now. No changes to our conversion percentages as a whole. And we build rapport throughout the call. People like us naturally because of how business oriented we are. So yeah, it is overrated and we don't really do it. Also, inside your current phone script, do you have all the top common objections addressed and eliminated before you get anywhere? Yeah, for sure. The purpose of a script is to overcome objections before they become an objection, right? So we attempt to, as much as possible, overcome them. Now, the goal, you can't overcome every objection, but we can overcome pricing. We can overcome that by getting a budget. We ask questions about why they want to accomplish this. So this gets some sort of like emotional connection to buying. We create urgency through their reasonings and experience so that they buy today, not just buy the idea, but not the product. That's kind of the main stuff. And then at the end, you'll get pushback like commitment issues, but you just have to circle back to the reasons why in the objection rebuttal. If they're like, well, let me think about it. You would want to say something like, hey, look, you've already thought about this. This is the time to do it. Your husband died. It was a tragedy. You weren't prepared and you're not prepared today, except with me, you're going to be prepared. You said the price works for you. Let's take care of this. Let's get this off your chest so you can have peace of mind. Who do you want your beneficiary to be, right? Something like that, where you just hammer the reasons home. And notice that none of my rebuttal there was high pressure. It wasn't high pressure in the typical sense that we think of, but it was a reminder why, an urgency, why you got to do something today. That's a powerful objection close, to circle it around what is important to them. Okay. Monroe. Hey, Monroe. Marty at DeFordIG.com. Sailor. Is it for chargeback? Is it canceling within a certain number of months or prior to? It's prorated for most carriers based off of how many commissions or premiums are collected. So like with American Amicable, you get an advance of 9 months. If the client paid 3 months, then you owe back 6 months. With a company like Sika, which we use, you get advance 6 months, but if the lapse happens within the first 90 days, you have to pay the full advance back. So it's not prorated there, it's the full amount. So most of them are going to be prorated in my experience. Have you updated your script recently? You're still using the one? We have some minor updates to the script. I can't remember what they are, but I would say that our script is like 98% the same. There's no major difference. There may be some rebuttal technique differences. Yeah, you're welcome, Terrence. No problem. Hey, Julie, David's amazing. Appreciate it. Checks in the mail. Just look at the time he puts in to help so many people. Reached out on Easter and promptly responded. Thank you. You're welcome, Susie. Questions, y'all? Still got about 25 minutes here. Happy to help with anything at all that you have as far as questions. I'll let the chat roll up a little bit more. Let's look at Safe Money in the Zoom. He asks, or she asks, where is the copy of the current script? Thank you. Thank you for asking. I'll throw that in the chat. So if you guys are interested, I have a free membership website. It's called the Insurance Sales Success Forum. Some of you came from this. If you check the chat, it's davidduford.com/ISS. Again, it's a free account. You register. It's with a company called School. Alex Hermosi owns that. I was there well before Alex purchased it. We have 11,000 members or something like that. Let me go here. I've got a bunch of deep dive trainings on final expense, Medicare, ACA, annuities. We do live trainings. Yeah, there's 11,700 members. You can communicate directly through me. There's a chat app or a message app. And then I post articles that I write. People can communicate like a forum. It's really good. And it's totally free. I don't charge anything for it. Maybe I should though, but I won't. So check it out. We got discounts. My books are for free there. I mean, I try to give you about everything possible just to sign up. So go there for it. And then once you get in there, look at the pinned posts. You'll see new final expense telesales script here. You can download the script. So the script's even there. I mean, geez, what else do I have to give you all to just go open an account for free? Okay. So if you got any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to address them. And then if we round out and there's no questions, we'll wrap it up. So throw your questions out or I might end it and be done. The cat is trying to break into the room. Okay. All right, one more question from Jason. To be in the top 20%, roughly how many calls does an agent make? There we go. As many as possible. Let me see my list here. I'll actually pull up our success ratios from last week. And I can give you an idea of how many of the top guys are doing. Just bear with me all. So again, what I'm going to pull up here are some numbers from last week that are going to show total calls. So one agent last week did 12 sales. He made 568 calls to make 12 sales. It's pretty good. And was on the dialer 38 hours. Our next in line made 439 calls. He made 9 sales, which is a really good success ratio. He was only on the dialer 23 hours. Another agent, 585 calls, 8 sales on the dialer for 30 hours. Another agent, 342 calls, made 7 sales on the dialer for 22.5 hours. And then the fifth guy here, 396 calls, 6 sales for 30 hours. So, you know, low end, mid 20s to upper 30s. As far as hours on the phone, to me, that's the main thing. Like the calls will take care of themselves. It's how many hours you got to be on the call. You're not actually manual. I don't know if this is clear either, Jason. You don't actually manually dial when you're on our system. I'm speaking for my system. You just log into the system, you wait. The dialers are dialing in the background. And then when somebody's on the line, the light flashes and you start your script. So, yeah. Here's one agent, Marcus, one of our top agents. He did 4 sales off of 122 calls. He's exceptional. And that was off of just 10 hours and 19 minutes on the phone. So, long story short, I mean, roughly 400. I would, again, as many as possible. But we have agents here who are doing 23 hours and 439 calls, you know, so I would go for 500 plus calls, probably is a good number to start off with. But again, if you're using a different dialer, you may find that the connection rate's not the same. So you may need more calls. You know, like we have a dialer that has a very high connection rate, so we more easily connect with our prospects. Chris says, I just want to think about it. Does DIG ever say perfect? We feel the best way to think about it is get it approved. Yeah, you can. So that's like the close, kind of conditional close. That's fine. I think that's probably the weakest close, but it's a close. I prefer to close it with their full commitment, if that makes sense. In other words, what I would really want to do is make sure that they're fully engaged and in belief. I'm not paused up here, right? My video is working, right? Looks like it's good on my end, but my video is paused. I don't know why. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. All right. Sailor says, as a brand new agent, highly recommended the school account first. Thank you. Yeah. That will either talk you in or out of the business. Yeah, that's the idea. As I want to talk you in or out of the business. I'd rather you do that now than later. And the last question here, and then we'll wrap it up. Scott says, is it possible to do final expense with DIG, but keep my Medicare contracts elsewhere? Absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% fine. We want all your final expense business to get our free leads. Hopefully you understand why. We're putting the money out. We want all of the business if you're going to work our leads. Okay. Last thing here, guys. Thank you for being here. I enjoyed this call. I hope you did too. If you'd like more information on our agency, head over to davidduford.com. You can learn more about how it works and what the details are there. Watch the overview video. It'll give you a good explanation of how the DIG agency works, what's required, and we'll either talk you into the business of working with us or out. So average commission per sale for us is probably, I mean, it can be really low if it's guaranteed issue, or it can be 250 to 350. I'd say about 250 to 300 is about average, somewhere in there. Depends on the type of product you write. And then based on your agent's experience results, are there any other days and times to call? I think the weekends are a great one. Saturdays and Sundays, we don't make you do any of those, of course, but Saturdays are great. Later evenings are great. Later in the week is better. Later at night. So like 2 o'clock or later, Thursday, Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. But we have agents who make their money Monday through Thursday and they're done. So anytime it's 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. is a good time to sell, in my opinion. Yeah, throw a question out there real quick, Scott. I'll get to it. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just wait on your question, Scott. Just get it out. And then we will be done. Just waiting on a question from the chat. Is it there? All right, good. Appreciate any advice you might have on the path I'm considering. I am an independent broker, happy with my MO. I'm interested in pursuing a subscription to your dialer and campaign management. Yeah. Of course, I'll say buy. That's my job. So I'm the company. My suggestion would be out of these, the CRM is the dialer is the most powerful piece of a thing I think that we have. It is really amazing. It's the easiest thing to implement that will give you the most immediate results, and so much that you'll just get more connections to your current lead system. It's $425 a month. I'm considering raising the price because it is that powerful, but it's worth every single penny. Everybody who uses it is just amazed at how powerful it is. And it's what we use in our free lead system. It's based off of Convoso, which is a CRM, I'm sorry, call center style CRM, or call center size dialer. You need 20 seats to purchase it, 20 people to purchase it. But with us, we can get you an individual seat. So I would highly recommend that as the first one. The CRM is great. I love the CRM, of course. It's a go high level variant. There are other ones that are good too that are out there. We're not the only game in town, but it is the only one that I know of that is strictly final expense focused. So it's a final expense CRM. If you're trying to do other things with it, don't get it. It's really just based for final expense. And then I'm really, of course, in big belief of our lead system, lead management program. You don't have to, again, for any of these products, you don't have to join our agency to get it. You get all of this for free if you join our free lead agency. But if you like what we do, but you're happy with your IMO, you can buy this stuff. But with the lead management system, it's great too, because you're literally using the same assets and people to run your management campaigns for your leads. So yeah. Thanks, Sailor. Yeah, I'd say so, Angie, for what we do. Again, we're a free lead agency. 250 to 300 is in that area. I think it's fair to say. Yeah, sure. Guam, any of the junk mail you get from me, just hit reply and send me your question, and I'll read it and reply back in private. Can you tell me more about the Grace appointment setting capabilities of CRM? Yeah, it's a bot that we've trained, designed to get your clients to live transfer to talk to you or to preset an appointment. We trained it all. It's what we use in the DIG agency. The dialer does record calls, yeah. So let me leave these in the chat here too. digdialer.com. Get FEleads.com. And then what's the other one? Final expense CRM. So those are the links to all of that. Go there and watch the demo videos there, y'all. The overview videos, and some of them have demo videos. I think all of them do. And they go into really, really good detail about how that works. Yeah, it's free with us, Angie. We don't charge for leads. What I'm showing here is if you like your lead or your IMO and you want to use our lead system, you can see what the prices are to run lead management. And then the cost per lead is whatever the costs you have. With my current remote job, we use Go High Level CRM. With Wave, I imagine it's way better than Wave. I haven't heard anything bad about Wave, but a lot of these dialers are not built to the degree that a call center based dialer is. But I can't attest to it personally because I've never used it. Okay, perfect. All right. We're going to end it there, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's call. Scott says, do you ever consider straight to broker path for brokers? No. No, you have to be in our free lead system. There's a whole litany of issues on the broker side. This is why we don't directly recruit brokers anymore. From legal liability to chargeback fraud risk. Like, it is not a good business model. That's why we've stopped recruiting them. And a lot of the brokers that come in aren't disciplined, aren't trained well, take a lot of time, but don't work a lot. And so it's not very good, to be honest with you. So that's why we have the free lead agency route, because we can mold the agent in a way that they're going to be better overall in the long term, to perform, to make good money, to understand how to sell, to get the important feedback necessary. But then we also give them that opportunity to move independent as a broker and then buy these systems too. So that's how we envision the broker path, is through the free lead system. Yeah, check it out. It's daviddeford.com/ISS social drip. So if you go here, you can check it out. I just got a bunch of training scripts, my books for free, lots of other stuff I'm probably forgetting. Okay, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's training. We'll be back next week, and y'all have a good rest of your week.